for most of his life. My dad was very, very handsome, and he was a ladies' man. He's a very free spirit, so feeling tied down in a relationship is not exactly when he was younger what he wanted. I think that as he got older, he wanted to settle down. He was slowing down as far as his health and stuff goes, so I think he wanted just a companion, the life companion. I think I was scared more than he was about the surgery. It was very, very nerve-wracking. I did something I don't usually do, which is I prayed. And I don't do that, but I did at that point. When the doctors came in and said everything went well, it was a huge weight lifted off. It kind of gave me a new outlook on life, his surgery, just because in a blink of an eye, it can all be taken away. So, after his surgery, he was on the up and up. He wanted a fresh start. And he found that in North Carolina, mostly because my cousin Victoria was down here and she loved it. The years after he moved to North Carolina were a little tumultuous for our relationship. I felt almost like he was abandoning me because he was so far away. I definitely wish I had been better about keeping in contact with him. I just wish he was still.
In the morning, we walk into our meeting room, and the captain's going over the daily reports that came from the night prior, and the Panoni case came up. What stood out to me about the James Panoni case is and they were trying to see if law enforcement could find him. When the original call came out, the deputy was responding to what's called a wellness check. The deputy knocked on the doors, he checked the windows, he didn't see any signs of anybody in the house. He tried to call Mr. Panoni, no one answered. There was no vehicle in the driveway. There was no signs that someone had been there in the last couple of days. They basically told them the vehicle was there overnight. When deputies ran the plates, that's when they found that it was registered to Mr. Panoni. And then they connected the dots with Mr. Panoni's missing person report. That is when the case was sent up to detectives for further investigation. I mean, no one just leaves their vehicle parked in the alleyway or in between two trailers and walks off. In a case like this, every minute counts. So we were already behind, and we needed to move to find, one, why was his truck there? Two, where is he at? We couldn't drag our feet. I felt that Mr. Panoni was hurt, killed. Just now it's by who, by what, where, when, where is his body if he was?
The water is really a way of life here. The water is also dangerous.
911, we found a case. There's swimming in it.
There's a body found in the water. Was this an accident or was it something more nefarious?
A pregnant woman jumped into the
It damages evidence. Who would do this?
Brian Deal, bodies in the water, starts Wednesday the 1st of July on ID.
When I first saw this house, I thought, how amazing. Look what you got for yourself, this beautiful new home. And now when I see this house, it really, it gives me knots in my stomach. It just, to me, it looks like the house of horrors. They met when he was playing the slot machine at a convenience store right next door to his house. And that's when most of us didn't hear much from Uncle Jim anymore. I did hear that he told my mom that he was very excited because she was a pretty woman. She was smaller in stature, had long, beautiful hair, and he was really excited that someone was paying attention. He met Sandra, he kind of just shut off on everyone. But we figured, hey, he met a woman and, he's living his own life. He's got his new home, he's got a girlfriend. Let's let him do his own thing. My mom called me and she was just panicked. She was telling me that she couldn't get a hold of my Uncle Jim. She's, please, can you just drive there? Can you go check on him? I feel like something's wrong. I was picturing him either hurt or sick inside of his house. Has he had a heart attack? I dropped everything I was doing and just head straight to Uncle Jim's house. I pull up on scene and I, hop out and the deputy's like, who are you? I was like, well, I'm his niece. I'm, his family member that lives in North Carolina. And they're like, do you have a key to the house? And I was like, no, actually I don't. And I don't know why I don't. But now he was like, well, basically there's nothing I can do for them. I asked the deputy all these questions. He did have a bypass. What if he's laying on the floor? And, he explained to me the difference between entering for a well-being check or, an actual medical situation. It was extremely frustrating to me that we could not forcibly enter the home. And then he just randomly brought up this flower garden. He's like, oh yeah, I noticed, it looks like he just recently started a flower garden in the backyard. And I was like, what are you talking about, this flower garden? His backyard is like a half acre of dirt. You would never just plant a flower garden on dirt. And then I started thinking about it and I was like, oh gosh. I was like, that is just like a terrible sign. Your heart is just racing, takes your breath away a little bit. It's almost like you could just jump out of your own body. So to me, I would have grabbed a shovel and dug up that garden for myself. I just knew. I called my mom and I told her, I said, I think he's gone. You just feel like someone's just gone. They're no longer here.
We were playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I got the call from my cousin Danny. And he basically was just like, I don't really know how to say this, so I'm just gonna say it. But your dad, we think, is missing. And at that point, my heart dropped completely. I started panicking. I didn't know what to do. How do you process that? I was trying to use social media, which was how we communicated most to get in touch with him. I also was calling his cell phone number, just kept going to voicemail. I knew something was not okay. The fact that he wasn't answering multiple phone calls from myself was very alarming.
At this point in the investigation, I'm still up in the air on whether Mr. Benoni is just not wanting to talk to family, just out doing his own thing. I mean, he's 61 years old, he doesn't have to check in with anybody. So at this point, it was just whether or not Mr. Benoni is where he wants to be or not. When I go back to my desk, I'm looking at the photos of Mr. Benoni's truck. One of the windows was rolled down and the keys were in the ignition. There were lumps of hair found throughout the car. It looked like someone got into a fight and the hair was pulled out. After reading the reports, looking at the pictures, it just did not sit well with me. Who was in the truck with Mr. Benoni? What happened to the person? Why is there these chunks of hair in the car? I needed it to tell a story and it just was not lining up right now. The first place we went to was to speak with the girlfriend. She had told the deputies that night that she hadn't seen him in a couple of days. But I needed to know more than just when the last time she saw him. I needed to know, what their relationship was like. Was it rocky? Were they in good standings? Now we need to hear it from her, what was actually going on. We drove to Jones County where Miss Wagner lives. I asked her if we can go inside the house to talk. And while we're in the house, I begin to Benoni. I can see that she's getting upset because of the way I'm asking questions in regard to her relationship. So I asked her about her hair. I said, we found a lot of hair in Mr. Benoni's truck. And that's when Miss Wagner said, in Swansboro, and he was drinking and left the scene. He didn't want to get arrested. Mr. Benoni wanted to get rid of his vehicle, change his name so that he wouldn't be arrested by law enforcement for the accident that he did in Swansboro. And I'm like, okay, well, where was Mr. Benoni when you put the truck there? And she said he was at home. But at this point, she didn't know who he was. What did you do with Mr. Benoni was in my head. Everything that she said during the interview, it makes me believe she's lying to me. But I wanted her to feel comfortable enough to continue talking to us. We had no body, we had no crime scene, we had nothing. We needed more. I felt that Sandra was either responsible or involved in Mr. Benoni's disappearance.
The influencer industry exploded. If you don't set hard boundaries, the internet will eat you and destroy you.
The problems going on behind the scenes can be a lot darker. That's why she created a witch's cover.
Does everybody have their knife?
Whoa. We're with the FBI. What is going on?
People have no sense of reality.
How did we go from social media to you want me dead?
Deadly influence, the social media murders. details Monday on ID.
Of a murderer, it's not easy.
He was such a happy kid, but then he changed.
I just killed someone. He had threatened me, and I always thought it was just words.
There's so much I didn't see.
I'm looking for answers. How this happened?
Brand new Evil Lives Here Mudshot the Killer tonight on ID.
It's the tastiest town on earth, and only Guy could have dreamt it up.
Flavor Town is real!
Where chefs face off in a medley of restaurants, from fine dining
Delicious flavors.
to food carts. It's going down
Most entertaining culinary competition that we've ever seen.
in Flavor Town.
Flavor Town food fight.
Brand new Flavor Town Food Fight, Wednesdays on Food Network.
There's some 90 degrees. O-Town. Never come out. That needed to be hidden. He was very predatory. But I just thought about jumping off that balcony. I have no idea, nor will you ever know.
Brand new Boy Band Confidential Friday on ID.
The water is really a way of life here. The water is also dangerous.
911, we found a new case. There's a man.
There's a body found in the water. Was this an accident, or was this something more nefarious?
A pregnant woman jumped into the Hudson River.
My dad just disappeared.
Water creates a problem. It damages evidence. Who would do this?
Brand new Bodies in the Water starts Wednesday the 1st of July on ID.
But she had lived a decently hard life. I think he saw someone he could help in the beginning. And I think that he wanted to be like a knight in shining armor. And he tried. It was a couple of months into it, and there were some red flags that I had seen and heard. He had once told me that she had wiped his bank account and that she had struggled with drugs. That was when I really started harping on him about separating from her. He was very insistent that she had changed her ways, that she was on the right path now. And I wasn't. I called him for his birthday in March, and he told me that he was separated and was very much so doing his own thing. I believed that she was completely out of the picture. That's what he led me to believe. That was the last time I talked to him, was on his birthday. And I was lucky because I got to tell him that I loved him.
I called my mother when I was leaving Uncle Jim's house. My mom sounded distraught. She was anxious. She wasn't tearful yet. She was mad. And I know it's because she wanted answers. She wanted to know where her brother was. And she was irate with this woman. My mom stayed in touch a lot via social sending messages to his account, and messages were getting shorter. The language wasn't like his, and she said, I think that it's this woman using using his phone, sending me messages. This is not him. At this point, she was calling out Sandra. Sandra, I know this is you. What have you done to my brother? And then my uncle's social media was logged off. She said something's happened. I just know it.
When I left Sandra Wagner's house, I was very suspicious of her. She stated that the accident that Mr. Pannoni was in happened in the next town over. I knew my next steps would be to make contact with a law enforcement officer in that town to see if we can verify that the accident actually happened and there was a report.
One.
The victim stated that he was hit by the vehicle that Mr. Pannoni drove, but that the vehicle fled and he identified the driver as a female instead of a male. It made me believe that the only reason Wagner knew about the accident is because she was the driver. And she's the one who fled. And the reason why she fled is because she didn't want to have any contact with law enforcement. I needed to find out what she did with Mr. The next step is searching Mr. house. Once we obtained the search warrant, we headed out there with CSI investigators. Honestly, I was hoping to find Mr. Pannoni in one of the bedrooms. I was hoping that he may have passed of old age, but that is not what we found. Walking into the house, I noticed that it was well maintained, it was cleaned. I hate to say it for a 61-year-old male, it was very clean. When I walked into the bathroom, I smelled bleach as if someone had cleaned it. He had a cloth shower curtain, and behind it wasn't the plastic. No one lives like that. You're going to put the plastic on to prevent the water from coming out. My automatic thought process was he's probably wrapped up in it somewhere. I can't 100% say, but that was what was going through my head. It being super clean suggests that someone cleaned it and got rid of all the evidence, everything that would have been needed to tell us that we could see of a altercation happening there or anybody being stabbed or shot. There was nothing. They did Mr. Pannoni's room. They did the second bedroom to the right, but it was the third bedroom to the left that when we went in and they did the aluminum, that it showed that there was blood on the bed frame and on the floor. Lit up where the potential for blood to have been. It is very apparent that Mr. Pannoni was killed there. At this time, and as we're walking to the back, we noticed that there was a flower bed, brand new mulch, border, no weeds. My hair was standing on the back of my neck, and my supervisor starts pulling at the flower bed. Everything came up. All the flowers were still in the plastic pots that they come in. While they're digging in the flower bed, they were able to see plastic. And as they got closer, they did smell bleach. And so they continued, and once they did unearth unearthed the body that was there, were able to confirm it was Mr. Pernoni. And yes, he was in fact wrapped in the shower curtain.
It was 3 a.m. when Detective Flores called me. Her voice was shaking a lot, and I just kind of knew that something was wrong. She told me where they found him, right outside the back door to his house, buried underneath a freshly planted garden of pansies. I don't even remember hanging up the phone, to be quite honest. I just remember running across the hall to my mom's room and kind of diving in bed with her. Just a mess. It definitely felt like a nightmare. It was more of a night terror. I thought at any moment I would wake up and it would be fine, everything would be normal, Dad would still be alive. Wasn't the case.
It looked like they attempted to dismember him by sawing through his elbow. Seeing that would indicate someone stabbed him multiple times, indicates someone who's in close connection with him. At this point, the prime suspect was Sandra Wagner. Because of the news being out there that Mr. Pernoni was found, there was a lot of moving parts that we had, so we had to move quick. So the next day, I needed bank records for Mr. Pernoni so I could track down when his last purchase was. And after March, beginning April, there were no more purchases done by Mr. Pernoni. They were all done by Sandra Wagner. They did have surveillance. So we were able to get the time frame of the transaction and then go to the facility and they were able to bring up the cameras for that time. And during that time, it would show Sandra Wagner alone making the purchase and Mr. Pernoni was not there. One of the transactions were for a hardware store where she purchased 2 coolers and then returned the coolers a couple of days after. And then I needed to also track those flower pots that we found at the site. We photographed the flower pots and documented the UPC code on the flower pots. Based on the UPC code, we were able to track it back to a garden center where it was sold, where she would purchase bleach and cleaning products like that. And then, of course, the flowers, the border, the lights, the mulch that she put on the burial site. And then it shows her going to the ATM. She drew another $600. I can't prove it, but given that she did try to chop Mr. Pernoni up, I believe she may have tried to or want to use the coolers to place the body parts in it. Because of how difficult the actual plan was to perform, she stopped and had to come up with a new one. Sandra Wagner did this, and now here's the evidence showing that she was involved. And even though we don't have her actually doing the murder, this is circumstantial evidence surrounding it that would lead us to believe that she committed the murder. I needed to get Sandra back into the office and had a formal sit-down interview with her. I gave her a phone call, asked her if she would come in. She stated she wasn't going to come in until she spoke with her attorney. So the time for, I believe it was 3:30 in the afternoon. 3:30 came, went. Miss Sandra didn't show up. I tried to call her a couple of times, and there was no answer. At that point in the investigation, I felt like a disappointment. Like, she was here, now she's running. How long is she gonna run for? How long until we actually get her behind bars and let her answer for what she did?
This is our lifelong dream.
Biggest problem on this homestead is living on top of a mountain.
We have had challenges that we did not expect here.
Coldest temperatures, the worst drought in 50 years.
The future of your homestead is at the bottom of the mountain. I hate to be the one that breaks it to you.
I truly believe we were meant to be here.
Would you consider moving this operation down to the water source?
No.
Find you. Homestead Rescue. Thursday on Discovery.
middle-aged woman. Doesn't resemble anybody that I would think could kill someone or murder someone. She's evil. She just looks like a normal person, a normal, everyday person you would walk by on the street. The deputy explained that Miss Wagner had a history of going after older men and using the older men for their money. I'm not shocked that Miss Wagner killed Mr. Pernoni over a little bit of money. It's just the situation, and the person gets themselves in that they think they can't get out except to murder someone. And looking at their relationship, I believe she did feel it and needed and wanted more, wasn't going to take no for an answer. With the information that we found, he was cutting her off from what would be her livelihood, what would be the way she gets her money. And the way he was killed does confirm that she killed him out of anger. I do feel sad for Mr. Pernoni because he was taken advantage of for his old age and for his being trusting.
This is just, I mean, first time I've seen that. But to know this is, my uncle bought this home and this is where he ended up, it's just heartbreaking. I mean, these are the things I try to hide from some of my family members and hope that they don't have to see, but yeah, it's very hard to look at that photo. She could not stop crying. She was a mess. The hardest feeling in the world for me is to see my mom broken like that. And that's exactly how I can describe my mom, broken. She feels like she convinced him to move here, and had he not moved here, he would still be alive. She needs to let go of all that pain. She needs to let go and understand that Uncle Jim is in a good place, and it's time to enjoy her life again, and it's not her fault. That right there. That is, that's the way I want to remember my Uncle Jim. Every time I take my boat out, I think of Uncle Jim, especially when I'm out offshore. And it just, you can just close your eyes for a minute and